You've built an amazing business. You've hit milestones that the past you would be so proud of. So, why does it feel like you're secretly drowning in tasks, plateauing in growth, and slowly falling out of love with the business you once adored? Let's talk about it. I'm Camille, your host, and I created the Systems Queen podcast because I had to go through the struggle of entrepreneurship as a spiritual woman myself. My journey from burnout to sovereignty began when I hit rock bottom. So I feel like most people, when something really shifts in their life, is often, unfortunately, when hitting rock bottom. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I have had my business for almost a decade right now, but it seriously started to take off probably 3 years ago. Before that, I really wasn't taking my business all that seriously, and that's what led me to creating Systems Queen. So rewind a couple years back, I had just lost a full-time contract that was sustaining me financially. This is what was guaranteeing my income every month. And one day, without notice, the boss that I had back then just decided to cut my contract without notice. I was traveling in Costa Rica, in Mexico. I had done ayahuasca and a bunch of other plant medicines, such a wild trip. And I was convinced that when I came back to Canada, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to facilitate medicine journeys with people here in Montreal and to follow my soul's purpose. But the thing that I didn't know is that it wasn't going to be as easy as I thought. So came back to Montreal. Everything felt so aligned because a few months before that event, I was going through coaching with an amazing coach that I worked with a couple times for my business, for social media most precisely. And she had asked me what was my intention for our 12 weeks of work together. Sorry, just taking a sip of coffee. And I had told her in 6 months from now, I don't want to be working for that company anymore as a contractor because I was not feeling aligned with the owner, who was shady, to tell you the truth, and was mistreating both his employees and his clients. And it just felt so wrong to keep working for that individual. So I said by September, I don't want to work for him anymore, and that was one of my intentions. So fast forward, when he broke my contract, it was exactly September 1st. At first, I didn't realize, and I was just mad. I was like, what a prick. Like, I'm on vacation, and he terminates my contract without notice, which is not legal. By law, you have to give 30 days of notice in our contract. But then I started looking at everything, the details, the fact that we were September 1st. And I was like, this is literally what I asked for. This is the gift from the universe. This is my opportunity to come back to Montreal and to dive fully into my business and to stop being in fear, because now there is no other choice. Like, I can go and find another job, but this is literally the opportunity of following the signs that the universe gives me and follow my heart's calling. And so I did. And the first weeks coming back to Montreal, everything seemed so aligned. I would see angel numbers everywhere. The people that I was meeting, everything was just like perfectly aligned. And then my bank account started reminding me that everything was not so aligned, actually. And I was going through my soft feminine era, as most of us do, women being sold the dream that, we should be supported and provided for by the divine masculine, which is true to a certain extent. It's true as long as you remain sovereign in that divine masculine support. And that's the part that I still had not integrated and understood. And so my bank account was just going lower and lower and lower and lower until it became undeniable that I was not going to be able to pay rent for the next month. And I realized I need to change something in my life. And I sat down in my living room crying and I said, okay, now we're going to put our big girl's pants and we're going to take care of ourselves because nobody's coming to save us. we've got to pick ourselves up. And I asked myself, what can I do now, in the immediate now, in the present, with the skills that I currently have, without going to get extra training, extra certifications, and whatnot, and to generate immediate income? I have a background in business administration. That's the bachelor's that I've studied in university. And I've worked for years as a project manager and in that field. So I thought, I'm just going to go and offer virtual assistant services. And so I went on Fiverr. I created a job gig and I priced it at $7 an hour because I had to compete with everyone on that platform. And if you've ever been on Fiverr, you know that there's people from all around the world. And as a Canadian, with the cost of life here, $7 an hour doesn't make any sense. But I said, you know what? This is going to be my strategy to just hook someone, to blow their mind, to over deliver. And once they're happy, I'm going to tell them this is the tryout price for my services. If you want to keep working with me, you have to pay for my full fee, my Canadian price. And that's what I did. And I stopped being the irresponsible, soft, feminine girl that was avoiding the work and that was waking up at any hour of the day without an alarm and taking breaks in the middle of the day and going paddleboarding when she wanted, instead of having days and time dedicated to my business and my work. I sat my ass down on my chair and I told myself, you're not going to get up from that chair until you're able to make a decent living and to pay for all your expenses every month. And so I did. And that's what I did. And I sacrificed the whole summer and I worked. I became disciplined. And I got my first few clients on Fiverr. And after that, word of mouth just started happening. I got more and more and better and better clients until it became such an important occupation that I had to find assistants to help me to do the work because it was too much for me on my own. And so this is my story behind Systems Queen, and that's where the program that I created was born, to help spiritual women who are trapped and conditioned in the soft feminine era and that need to take back sovereignty and control over their lives and become the queens that they are so that they can rock their life and their business. And so, what is the common CEO plateau, and where I see the women in my community, in the audience that I'm serving, where do they usually plateau? So what happens once they get to that stage of they've built a business, they're self-made, like they went through all the steps and they worked hard and they hustled and they understood that they needed balance between that divine feminine and masculine, and they're fully in ownership of their life, of their business. They're not waiting for anyone to save them. What happens oftentimes after that? So once they grow and they build that business and there is stability, usually what will happen is that they will get stuck in a 2x mindset. So they'll get stuck in a mindset where they believe that I have to do it all myself, or no one can do it as well as me. And they invest 80% and more of their time on tasks that can be delegated, that can be, given to someone else, instead of focusing on their zone of genius, on what they only excel at and are able to give and share to the world. They're stuck in that illusion that controlling everything and doing everything themselves is what's going to make them thrive, but it's actually the opposite. It's keeping them stuck in that 2x mentality and overworking, putting way too much time and energy on their business instead of working on the 10x moves that will generate way more results that are not based on the exchange of time for money. The other thing that I observe that is keeping these women on a plateau is freeze mode, anxiety. So when they come to that stage of growth in their business, usually it becomes a lot to manage and to take care on a daily basis. And I see women messaging me on Instagram and other platforms telling me, yeah, well, I understand everything you're saying and I know all of this, but like I just can't get myself to do it. Like I wake up in the morning and I know what I have to do, but I just can't get myself to do it. And this usually is a sign of nervous system dysregulation. These women are overworked, are tired, are too inside of their business, not rested, in hustle mode a little bit. And it's normal. It's normal that when you go from an extreme of soft feminine to really getting accountable, disciplined, and focused with your business, that you can oscillate a little bit too far in the other extreme of masculinity in your business. And it's okay. And the goal here is to bring women back in their center, in their balance, in their queen energy, which the queen is the most balanced of all the archetypes. She embodies fully her masculine and her feminine. And so that's what I observed. So the goal is to bring you back in your center, back in regulation, centered in your mind, body, and spirit, so that the daily hustle and the daily grind is released from your life and from your business, and that you can flow through your work, through your tasks, and not block where things could be delegated or done differently. And that's where the cyclical CEO method was born. So, this method essentially is a structure, a system that will help you navigate all of this. Because as a woman, you know it. You know it. We're not only navigating the seasons and the cyclicity of life, of the seasons of our planet, especially here in Montreal, Canada, we have winters that are very well felt. We have snow, we have cold, and it's impossible to forget that you're in the season of winter. So, the cyclical CEO method is a method that helps you navigate all the ups and downs, the cyclicity, the light and the darkness, the challenges and the beauty, the light of all of this, of the universe's cycles and your inner cycles as a woman. Right now, I am recording this very first episode in my deep, deep, deep luteal phase, PMSing. My boobs are swollen, they're painful, they're hurting. My mind is a bit foggy, as you can see. I'm lagging on some words and whatnot. But this isn't stopping me from showing up today, because I know that it's okay to show up exactly how I am. And that's what I want to share with you in the cyclical CEO method. That you don't have to be trapped in what you've been sold in the soft feminine era, that when you're approaching your period or you're in your menstrual phase, that you have to just stop everything and do nothing and stop working out. This is not true. This is a lie. This is bullshit. This is just going to backfire. And I can tell you, because I have been diagnosed with PCOS, and I thought I was going crazy. I had suicidal ideas, thoughts. I wasn't able to tend for my clients. I would cancel them all the time and ghost my friends and family and be very wishy-washy and unreliable and an emotional wreck, because my hormones were out of whack. And why were they out of whack? Because I was treating my business as a hobby and not as a business. And I was fleeting around and not being structured in my work. So, coming back to that, the cyclical CEO method teaches you and helps you navigating all of this, which is a lot if you think about it, because you're navigating the outer cycles, your inner cycles, while rocking your business. And there's a way to do that. There is a way to still show up, even though you're not at your best according to you, even though your energy level is different, even though outside the seasons are different and they're impacting you differently in your business. And just to give you a quick reference, now we're in almost spring. It's March 18th. So in a couple days, it's going to be spring. And this has a very specific impact on you as a person and on your business. Spring is the season of rebirth. It's where everything starts blooming and creating little buds in nature. Animals are coming out of hibernation, slowly but surely. And it's the same for you and your business. So is it the time to work on the back end of your systems and be more, hidden? Not really. It's the time to slowly start emerging If you had ideas in the winter projects that you were working on, now is the time to start teasing people with it, to start giving hints here and there of what you've been preparing in the back end. And the same goes for your inner seasons and inner cyclicity. For example, for me, in my luteal today in PMS, recording a podcast actually makes so much sense because I'm not hustling, I'm not doing anything that is super draining. I'm sitting on my chair here in my bedroom having a sip of coffee, sorry, PMS brain, and talking to you and having fun and doing what I love. And I'll do the editing and whatnot, sorry, another time. Because this is the cyclical way. Did I choose to not do anything today and to just rot in my bed and scroll on my phone? No, because there are things that we can do. We're not handicapped because we have our period or our PMSing. On the contrary, we are extremely powerful because going through these cycles give us specific gifts, abilities, and powers through each and every one of them. I won't dive in depth into each and every one of them today, but we will definitely be talking about that in this podcast. So I hope you liked this first episode of Systems Queen, the Cyclical CEO Method. This is my first podcast ever. Podcasting and talking alone is definitely not my gift and my natural ability, but I believe that by doing things that are taking out of our comfort zone is what makes us grow and makes us thrive. So here I am. Episode 60 should be much better, but it takes the first one to try and to get launched. So here it is. I invite you to follow this podcast if you enjoyed the content and you're excited to hear what's going to come next. And feel free to join me also on Instagram, where I share a bunch of other content, educational, inspirational, where you can follow all the events that I'm advertising, my free masterclasses, and whatnot. And stay tuned for episode 2, where we will talk about why you need to stop acting like a business owner and to start acting like a CEO. See you on the next episode.